Cross-court pass to Trey Smith. Trey from downtown, got it. Wants a screen, he'll go the other way. Find A.O. Aaron from downtown, got it. The Moose is loose.
Mid center court with Charlie Ernst on 88.3 WLFC.
Tommy, left side, little stutter step, driving the lane, scoop the hoop, left hand, got it again. High ball screen, back top of the key, backdoor pass ahead, and slam it home. Alex White, that's his second slam.
Join Coach Ernst and the Oilers On Air team as they take a look back at the week that was, discuss what's happening around the conference, and preview the week ahead.
Oilers win it, and what a game here in Croy, and a tremendous victory for the Orange and Black.
And now, let's join men's basketball head coach Charlie Ernst and the voice of Oiler basketball, Jason Granger.
Hello and welcome to Center Court. I'm Jason Granger, right now joined by the head coach of the Oilers, Charlie Ernst. And Coach, what a weekend here in Croy. Two big ball games, a Thursday victory over Ohio Dominican, a thrilling game, and then you're able to surprisingly really blow out Ohio Valley. Really thought Ohio Valley might give us a little bit better fight. Of course, they'll have a second opportunity coming back, but two big wins.
Well, that's all you can ask for as a coach. A lot of positive takeaways as well. I thought we were starting to settle in on our rotation, and I think that helps everyone. We were able to withstand a little bit of foul trouble on Thursday night, a little bit of adversity. Again, we found ways to make plays late in the game, made some free throws. So there was a lot of positive takeaway. Anytime you can get a sweep, that's two sweeps in a row for us in the GMAC, one on the road, one at home. Is a great way to for the weekend to go. That's what you look for, and so we'll be after the same thing this week.
Well, and our fans were treated to a great one on Thursday, and I talked about it on the broadcast. One of the better games that I've seen in Croy. It's never hard pressed to ever beat that game against Bellarmine in our national championship run, but it kind of had a similar feel with these two teams going back and forth. The 24 lead changes, game was tied 10 times, and we just had enough at the end.
There was a fan that made the same comment to me as I walked through the line, and hadn't really thought about it, and didn't realize there were that many lead changes. Obviously, it was a close game. It was hard fought throughout. It seemed like they answered most of our shots with one of their own, and it was a tremendous game. Two teams that put a lot of time and effort into preparation for that game, and it showed. We both added a few wrinkles to what we were doing. Those wrinkles worked. None better than our last play of the game to score. That was something that was put in this past week. So, it was a true team effort. We got contributions from a lot of guys, and that's what it takes to win a game like that.
Well, and you withstand Ohio Dominican shooting nearly 70% in the second half, and I know as a defensive-minded coach, that doesn't exactly make you very happy, but what should make you happy is the fact that your offense found a way to step up, and when you did need your defense, defended their last play very well, and forced Sam Hickey to take a 28-footer that was highly contested, and then got a number of steals, including the last one to seal it.
They got us back on our heels a little bit, and pretty soon we were, they made some threes, so we defended the three, then they got it inside and got to the rim, and just never felt comfortable from a defensive standpoint defending them, and fortunately our offense was clicking, especially in the second half. I thought we defended them pretty well in the first half. The second half, not so much, but give them some credit. I mean, Verance can make threes. Never did I think he would make three in a row like he did in the second half. And then that stretches you out, and that makes your bigs go out and guard him, and that's not a favorable matchup when you have your bigs going out and guarding him, as athletic as he is. He's got a tremendous first step. He's just a different kind of center for our bigs, and I thought he single-handedly then spread our defense out, and that might have been his best game of the season, and I don't know that it was as much our defense as his offense, and so that's something we have to look at. Our ball screen defense the next time we play them. I didn't think it was very good that game. So there was a lot to learn, a lot to take away, and fortunately it all happened within a win.
Yeah, a great win and an outstanding offensive performance. And you talk about how Dominican was able to spread you out at times. I thought that was the whole second half for us offensively. Our ability to spread ODU out, and maybe there's been a criticism in this team. Maybe we've lost some athleticism with Taryn no longer being here, but our guys really showed how athletic they are. I mean, Anthony Masterlasco had several one-on-one opportunities. He got to the rim. Tommy was constantly in the paint, as was Trey.
Well, in my opinion, we're every bit as athletic as what we were last year, maybe even more. It's hard to say, but we've got tremendous quickness on the perimeter. I would venture to say that our three guards are as quick as any threesome in this league. There might be one or two teams that might be able to be as quick as us, but because Anthony he's underrated as a quick player until you play against him. He got a great first step, and the way Chaz is playing off the bench adds another level of quickness. Ethan's quicker than people realize. We've got athleticism on this team. I think one of the things that I would have to say we did well is I thought Trey guarded Hickey very well in this game. We left Ryan Hoyne get open on the 3-point line, and he is playing at a high level right now. He's in a good place mentally in terms of shooting the ball. And then that spread us out guarding their two shooters, and the gaps were just too big. And we've got to be able to, I always say this, you got to take something away from the offense, whether that's the 3-point shot or anything around the rim, and you give up threes against good teams. It's hard to take both away. We didn't do a very good job of taking either away in the second half, and I think that's a sign of the 70% shooting percentage that you're talking about. So our guys battled. We battled hard. We got a few stops late in the game when we had to have them, and found a way, and that's what good teams do.
Well, something that you guys went to in the second half was getting Aaron on the block, and unfortunately he got into foul trouble. Maybe that's something we got to play these guys again. Maybe you found a matchup that you like there.
Well, I think there's a couple takeaways that we'll take into the next game. And certainly Aaron's, a bit of a tough matchup for them, especially with their starter, Matt King. Matt's going to be a good player. He's just a little undersized for Aaron. And, Alex and their big kid, Verance, they sort of had a standoff, in that game. And so maybe Aaron's a spot that we could maybe expose them a little bit the next time we play them. But really, that wouldn't even be playing outside of what we normally do. Aaron's a very good post-up player. He's gotten better. I think he's a good post-up player as a 4-man. When he's a center, he's okay, and he can do it, but that's not his strength. But when he's the 4, now that's a different element there, and I think that's something that we can look at against other teams probably even more than we have as well, because a lot of people talk about Aaron shooting for good reason. He's been shooting the ball well. I thought he got back into his good frame of mind as a shooter this past weekend as well. But, I think there's a couple adjustments. Obviously, they'll make adjustments too, but that might be one of ours on offense.
Yeah, do you want to talk about Tommy Schmock? 15 points, 10 assists. He had 3 steals. They might have missed a couple steals. It felt like he had more than that. But he was all over the place, and his ability to get in the lane, make things happen, and then find the guys who were open was impressive.
Well, Tommy had that little moxie going. You could see the confidence, but he made a couple great scoops with his left hand. Might have even, I'm sure he had one with his right. But we started the late shot clock flat ball screen them, which means, the ball screener, instead of having their shoulders, parallel with the sideline, they had their shoulders parallel with the baseline. And Tommy does a great job of working off of that, especially when Aaron's setting the ball screen, because Aaron's such a good shooter that creates some confusion. And again, you mentioned we got him spread out. The way Trey shoots the ball, they weren't going to give him a 3. Alex was making 3s, so they were out guarding him. Tommy had some opportunities to get to the rim. Now he had to finish over Verance, which is no small task. And, he had some great finishes. And really, as you mentioned, I thought just had a very good all-around game, something he can build on.
You got to be happy with how we finished the ball game in a game that's going back and forth. Now, we were up I think with 3.5 to go, we were up 4 or 5 points, and maybe had a couple possessions where we got a goose egg in there, and they went down and scored. But it's a 1-point game. You get the bucket with Alex, and then you come down and play them well defensively. So the end of that last minute was pretty good.
Yeah, we with about 2 minutes left, I think we had maybe a 5-point lead, and we had Alex at the line. And Alex has been a very good free throw shooter, especially over the last month. And he missed them both. They came down and scored. I think they got a 3 after an offensive rebound, cut it to 2. So now we're under 2 to play. We come up empty. I think we had a turnover. They come down. They score again. And things started to kind of get away from us, similar to last year's game against these guys. And but we got that the set that coach called coming out of that timeout. To Alex. Alex was able to convert. They came down, and I think they called a timeout, if I remember right, which was good for us because it kind of gave us a little bit of an opportunity to settle our guys in, make sure we had the right matchups, talk about what we wanted to switch and what we didn't want to switch, what they might see coming out of this timeout. Nonetheless, they were left with a deep, deep 3 by Hickey. And he can make those shots. It was a high rebound, and Anthony came down with it, went to the line. He converted both free throws, make it a 3-point lead, and then, of course, Tommy comes up with a big steal to seal it.
Well, let's finish by talking with that. I mean, how smart of a play that is. And you talk about how, at Findlay we have great players. We also have smart players. And, Tommy to get that steal and then have the presence of mind to take as much time as he could, get to the corner, realize he's going to be fouled and shoot it. Even if he doesn't draw the foul, that's going to hit high off the rim. If he misses it, it goes up in the air and the clock runs out. We win the ball game. It's just a smart play.
Yeah, I mean, the clock was going to run out because if he would have shot an air ball there was really no one around to rebound that because both guys that were in the backcourt contested his shot. So the time would have run out, which, again, was a very smart play because some players would try to hold the ball hoping they get fouled there so they can go to the line. But then that puts a lot of pressure on you as a shooter to have to step to the line, and it stops the clock and so forth and so on. So just a really heady play. Was a great play, and of course he was rewarded by the shot going in, which was pretty neat to see considering the game that he had.
Yeah, crazy shot there by Tommy. Oilers put 6 players in double figures and come away with an 89-82 victory over Ohio Dominican. And then when we come back here on Center Court, we'll talk about the big victory over Ohio Valley on 88.3 WLC.
Chances are there'll never be an emergency ever again. But just in case, let's talk about a plan.
Okay.
Who is going to grab the go bag?
What's a go bag? It is a bag we do not have that is filled with things we really, really need in an emergency.
Guess we won't have to worry about it then.
Well, this is great. I am so glad that we don't have a plan.
I know.
Winging it is not an emergency plan. Make sure your kids know what to do during an emergency, who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hey everyone, let's all stop what we're doing and take a moment. You see? Every moment can be kind of special. But they could be loud moments, goofy moments, dorky moments, it doesn't matter. Because every time dads like us take a moment like that to spend with our kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's take a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
This message is for all of you sitting in the passenger seat. And apologies if it gets a little uncomfortable, but how does it feel to be at the mercy of someone who thinks a random text is more important than your life? Someone who takes their eyes off the road while speeding along in a 3-ton hunk of steel. Freaky, right? Well, why not just ask them to stop? Or better yet, volunteer to text for them. It might be a little awkward, but believe me, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Cross court pass to Trey Smith. Trey from downtown got it.
Saturday afternoon, your Oiler basketball teams finish out their homestand as they take on the Chargers from Hillsdale College.
Fricky line to lane. Throw it up with the right hand. Bucket's good. Dana Fricky.
Jason Granger will have all the action from Croy Physical Education Center. Women's pregame at 12:40, tip-off at 1 o'clock, men's game immediately following.
Aaron from downtown, got it. The Moose is loose.
This is your home for Oiler basketball, 88.3 WLFC.
Welcome back to Center Court. We're talking with the coach of the Oilers, Charlie Ernst. And, Coach, you get the big victory over Ohio Dominican, and I think a lot of times, at least from a fan's perspective, maybe from me being a crazy fan as well, you think, well, you just had this emotional victory over ODU, and now you got to turn around and play a team in Ohio Valley that traditionally doesn't have the same type of tradition we do, or the same type of tradition that Ohio Dominican has. But this Ohio Valley team coming in has some talented guys. I think we saw in glimpses on Saturday. But you got to be happy coming out, especially defensively, coming out the way we did in that first half, holding them to 20 points, really putting the game away early.
Well, yeah, it was a game that it was as much a mental game, a physical. Making sure that physically we were well rested. So we took Friday off in terms of on the floor. We spent the day in the video room. We watched about 20 clips from our Ohio Dominican game. Then we watched something. We did something different. We normally just watch clips and talk about things. But we watched 10 minutes of live game action between Ohio Valley and Southern Indiana to give our guys an idea of how good Ohio Valley can be. That game was a great indication. It was a hard-fought game at Southern Indiana. And then we covered their personnel. So we were in the video room for a good hour, which is a lot more than normal. Got our guys off their feet. So we wanted that to be a mental practice. And then we came back Saturday morning for our walkthrough, did more on-court stuff, got them moving, did a little bit more video work. So it was really a lot of mental preparation for this game. Get our guys in the right frame of mind, make sure we understood the dangerous opponent Ohio Valley would be. And I think our guys respected what they had seen on video. They had seen enough over the last 48 hours to realize, we gotta come and it's not just show up. We gotta come and we gotta perform like we're capable. We gotta build on what we accomplished Thursday and get better on Saturday. And I thought we put a complete game together against Ohio Valley. That was good to see. I thought we really took over the game midway through the first half, built up a big halftime lead, and then really added to that in the second half.
Well, and you could kind of tell as the game started, guys that had a little more energy than maybe normal, I thought. I thought Aaron really looked good out there. I mean, he had a lot of energy. He was running up and down the floor. Anthony and then Ethan Linder, those three guys really stepped up on Saturday and got the job done.
Well, it's funny, but we don't necessarily use Ohio Valley as an example, but throughout the fall, during our fall workouts, when we have morning workouts or we have back-to-back days where we do conditioning, I tell our guys, this is a day, where you have a lot of excuses. You can figure out and come up with a lot of reasons why you're not at your best, whether that's, lifting weights or we kind of do some things in the fall to prepare our guys mentally. And I usually use the example, if you can come up with excuses that help justify your performance today, you'll do the same thing mentally when we have a big game followed by a game that's not so big, at least in the eyes of fans and maybe in the eyes of players, maybe in the eyes of the pundits who look at the records and assume that's the case. And I thought our guys, really, especially our upperclassmen, made sure that wasn't going to be the case on Saturday, that our guys came. We were ready, we were prepared, and I thought we put a great effort on the floor.
Sure did. 52 points in the paint for the Oilers against Ohio Valley, and a big 93-51 victory. And Oilers now 14-2 overall, 8-1 in the GMAC. And Coach, you look at the GMAC standings, and there certainly isn't anything won yet. And a lot of teams very competitive this year. It seems to be a more balanced league, and just about I think you could probably make an argument the top 9 teams are so right in the hunt.
Well, that's so true. I mean, there are 9 teams in the hunt, and there's only 8 that are going to make the GMAC tournament. So the point being, I think it says a couple things. Number one, this is a conference that's going to go down to the last day in terms of who gets in. And so that means a lot of dangerous opponents in February, not to mention who's going to win this league. We've got 11 conference games left on our schedule. Well, crazy thing is some teams have 13 left. But we played a few more than others early in the season. So we're not even halfway home. We will be the Hillsdale game is the halfway point, and so we get a win there. That'd be a great first half of the season in the GMAC. But certainly a lot of work left to be done.
And it starts here on Saturday against the Hillsdale Chargers, and luckily we have them at home, and that'd be something to talk down the road. Is eventually we have to play these teams on the road, and so it's going to be a very difficult February, which makes this very important. You have a home game here to protect your home turf, and Hillsdale is just like they always are, always solid, always good, always really good defensively, and you're going to get their best on Saturday.
Well, they're just a very consistent team. They're not overly explosive. You talk about some of the teams in this league, maybe like Alderson Broadus. They come to mind as an explosive team, a team that can go off quickly on you, maybe like a Walsh. But when you think of Hillsdale, you think of just consistently solid on both ends of the floor. They make good decisions on offense. They don't turn it over. They're content to make you guard them for 30 seconds every possession if that's what it's going to take. Defensively, they're as good as it gets. They're very well schooled. They're big, great help side defense. They'll play a fair amount of guys. Their depth has improved over the last week or two. So this is a very good defensive team. They've hung their hat on that. I think they're the top defensive team in the league. Now they have struggled at times on offense, but I think some of that is the way they play. We were in preparation for our games this past week, especially Ohio Valley. We told our guys we're probably only going to be guarding for 15 to 20 seconds max most possessions. Whole different animal this Saturday. We're going to guard right to the shot clock on a lot of possessions. So we've got to be disciplined enough on defense that we don't commit dumb fouls because we get antsy and we get undisciplined and we want to try to force a turnover. That's the challenge for our team this week.
Well, you mentioned they're getting healthy as well. They have a great point guard in Nate Naveau, who I believe hadn't played the last 4 or 5 games. Now he played against Ohio Dominican on Saturday, and he brings a different element. He can shoot it, but then he's up there with all the other point guards as far as being one of the better point guards in the GMAC as far as on the defensive end.
Well, without a doubt, and seeing him sitting on the bench during some of those games, I was thinking maybe he's out for the season. Nick Zarnowski missed a couple games as well this year with injury, and so they're both back. Now I assume they're both 100%, but they may not be. And now what that did for them is they had other guys playing in their place, and give them credit. They went to Cedarville this year 2 days before we played Cedarville and beat them without both those guys. And I think that's a testament to the development of some of their other guys, their younger guys we hadn't heard of before. And now that those two are back, that makes them a pretty deep team and a team that can go with a lot of different guys at different times throughout the game. And that's something that maybe we don't have the luxury of right now, is the type of depth that they have.
Well, you mentioned their size as well. Probably the biggest team we're going to see, and not only as far as height, but as far as girth, so to speak. They're very physical guards. They have the big kids, Zarnowski inside, plus they have Bear, they have Yarian. They have a number of different guys that they can bring in between that 6'7" and 6'8" range, and they're also thick bodies.
Well, when they walk out on the floor for warm-ups, that's usually the first thing that jumps out at you with Hillsdale, always, is their size. They've always got, it seems like they've always got 4, 5, 6 guys that are 6'8" or bigger. And they'll play a number of those guys. And they're going to want to pound the ball inside, is my guess on us. They're going to try to want to get Aaron and Alex in foul trouble. So we've got to do a good job of keeping the ball out of there. And once it gets in there, we've got to be at our best in terms of walling up, being disciplined, and I think that's going to be a very big key in this game.
But you look at their box score here for the season, and Dylan Lowry averages the most at 14 points per game, and he's a kind of a guy that you didn't know a lot about. He's played a little bit behind his brother, Stedman Lowry. It seems like he was at Hillsdale forever, and now Dylan's just a junior. And then Davis Larson, a little bit of a new name as well, that's averaging nearly 12 points a game.
And he was a guy that played off the bench, similar to a role maybe that Anthony played a year ago. He might have played a little bit more than Anthony did for us, but a kid that it was pretty easy to recognize a year ago that he was going to be a good player for him, a future Hillsdale star. He's got a nice athlete, good size. He's around 6'5", so he kind of gets something. He gets stuff at the rim. He can shoot it a little bit. He's kind of one of those inside-out type players. And you mentioned the Lowry kid. I had a coach tell me earlier this season in the conference when I asked him about Hillsdale, said that he thinks he's one of the most improved players in the league. Certainly their two top scorers are their guards, or our guards, but they've got a lot of options inside, a lot of experience there. That'll be a real war, and they're going to throw bodies at us. I've got to be smart in our substitution pattern in this game. We've got to be able to rebound with them, keeping them off the glass, limiting them to one shot. But more than anything, I think we've got to play our game. We can't allow Hillsdale to play this game on their terms. This is a home game for us. We want to have good tempo in this game. We want to force their guards to play faster than they like to play. Contest opportunities inside, and finally limit them to one shot.
And we'll see them on the 19th, and then turn around and play them on February 9th. So Hillsdale will be our travel partner. It's a little interesting schedule-wise. A lot of times you play a team, and then it's maybe 3, 4, 5 weeks before you play them again. But we play them on the 19th here. That'll be this Saturday and February 9th. So quick turnaround back for the second time.
You know what? I hadn't really realized that until you and I sitting here talking about it, looking at the schedule. That is a quick turnaround because, like Hillsdale, we both go down south next weekend, and then we turn around and have some games here, home games, and then we turn right back around and go to Hillsdale again. So, yeah, short turnaround. Sometimes that happens in the conference schedule. So we're both going to learn a lot about one another. I'm not sure that it'll affect our game plan for this game much. But I think probably the biggest thing with them is they're a very different team today than what they were 3 weeks ago. I mentioned Zarnowski, I mentioned Naviu, but the third guy is the Austin Urian kid who didn't play in the first 3/4 of the season. And so they've added some bodies to help with their depth and to help with their talent, because all three of those guys are very good players. So this is a Hillsdale team that is very dangerous coming in here. They're in a good mindset. Going to be a big challenge for us.
All right, Coach. Just one game this week. Best of luck.
All right, thank you.
That's head coach Charlie Ernst. Oilers in action on January 19th. It's a home game here at 3 o'clock, and only game this week. So it'll be cold outside Saturday as well. So maybe get to the Croy. We'll keep you warm inside. Should be a great ball game on Saturday. So for the coach Charlie Ernst, I'm Jason Granger. You've been listening to Center Court.
Tommy, left side, little stutter step, driving the lane, scoop the hoop, left hand, got it again.
Thank you for listening to Center Court with Charlie Ernst.
Off the screen, he'll go the other way, find A.O. Aaron from downtown, got it. The moose is loose.
Join us every Tuesday night during the season for your connection to Coach Ernst and Oiler men's basketball.
Oilers win it, and what a game here in Croy, and a tremendous victory for the Orange and Black.
This is your home for Oiler men's basketball, 88.3 WLFC.